Hello, hello, and welcome back to another installation of the Novosphere podcast. As always, I am Jack, and I'll be your host of the day. And today we have a special guest from Insights Network, or as they like to be known, Instar, Brian. Brian, can you say your last name just so I don't butcher it?
My name is Brian Gallagher from Insights Network. So thanks for having me on today. Excited to be here and talk about our project.
Nice, nice. So yeah, just give the people a little bit of a background. So where you're from, what's your experience, what's this project, and how did you get it? How did you decide? Why did you decide to get it started?
Sure. So I grew up in Chicago. I went to university at the W.P. Carey School of Business in Arizona. And when I was about 23, right after school, we started our first company called UndergroundSellar.com. It was an online wine marketplace, San
Un
Francisco.
underground what? Sorry.
UndergroundSellar.com, like wine cellar.
Ah,
So it
okay.
was it was an online wine marketplace, and we sort of patented a gamified e-commerce solution. So the way the purchasing worked for the customer is you would buy a bottle of wine, and rather than maybe purchasing for a discount,
Mm-hmm.
we always maintained the brand's pricing and value, but we would give you randomized upgrades at checkout. So you'd buy into a winery's maybe baseline Cabernet, for example, and like
Mm-hmm.
some people in a library vintage version
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
that might cost 10 times the amount of what they paid. So it was pretty successful. We got into Y Combinator.
Oh, very cool. Very cool.
It was a crazy sort of sequence of events. We moved to San Francisco without ever even having visited there before. Obviously, it's just a place to be.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Did pretty well. We started doing maybe about 80,000 a month in revenue the third month after launch. So we got into Y Combinator. That company's still going, undergroundseller.com. There were four founders,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And are you
myself and Brandon.
and are you still involved with underground wines, underground cellars?
Just as a shareholder, but Brandon and myself, we were two of the co-founders. We left and started Insights Network.
Okay. Okay.
It wasn't called Insights Network when we started.
Mm-hmm. What was it
When
called?
we originally started, it was called Gambiel. It was a code application. So that's how we got into the data industry.
Wait, a food application you said?
It was a receipt upload
Ah, okay.
application.
Okay.
It was targeting fast food restaurants though.
Okay, okay.
So yeah, it was fast food data
I see,
and
I
cutting
see.
back.
That's quite a windy road for you to get to Insights Network. Yeah.
Basically, what we during Insights Network is a lot of the value comes in the form of data.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you're an e-commerce website,
Mm-hmm.
a
Mm-hmm.
lot of the data that you can sort of accumulate and then tune is actually worth a ton. And there's no really logistics involved. So,
Mm-hmm.
the next business we wanted to start, we said no more logistics. I managed the whole wine supply chain. I grew
Right,
it from
right.
nothing to hundreds of thousands of dollars a month.
Right, right, right.
And it was very doing logistics. So we said, hey, next
Mm-hmm.
time let's do something way more scalable, but that generates tons of value. So we started, and that also did really well. And so we were collecting tens of thousands of receipts a day.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But that's how we discovered sort of the data brokerage market and how everything works.
Right, right. Okay.
This amazing insight into who are the big players behind the scenes, you know, where's the value in data,
Mm-hmm. I'm guessing
good
Google.
problems.
Well, I guess Google
Mhm.
doesn't really buy your data. They kind of have your data.
Yeah, so Google basically sells ad products
Mm-hmm.
that can hyper target individuals.
Right, right.
They know about these people. So that's how they drive their entire business model.
And are you
Um,
and who do they sell these data to? To the advertisers, I'm assuming.
yeah, so basically, we originally thought, hey, if we can drive traffic to McDonald's or Burger King,
Right.
and then get customer feedback and pass it directly along to McDonald's or Burger King. They're going to pay a lot for it. But what we actually
Mm-hmm.
found out, Sites Network, is there's a whole middleman market that previously we didn't really know about.
Oh,
Axiom,
yeah, I was gonna say, does these middlemen have names?
yes. So companies like Axiom, Technomic, um, big one. Basically, they want to work with all of these us who generate the data, and then it makes it easier on a company like ourselves because we can just dump it off to one party,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
package it, and sell it. Another big one is Info Scout.
I see. So did I'm not, again, I'm not familiar with the industry, but they go out actively to look for companies that have harvested data, and they buy from them, they process it or gain insights from it, and they sell that information to like fast food chains like McDonald's and Burger King. Was that how?
Yeah, the end customer ends up being the big brands
Mm-hmm.
like PG&E,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but the manpower to produce sets is much larger than if you're just sort of the app that pushes all the data into the company who repackages it. And then,
I see. I see.
so it's super scalable and light. And but the point is basically we got maybe like half a year into the business model,
Mm-hmm.
and then we realized that there's upcoming legislation being discussed, such as GDPR.
Mm-hmm.
Now that is real legal. It's not just being talked about anymore. So what we realize is, hey, for all these people who are harvesting all this data and then reselling it 5-6 times,
Mm-hmm.
eventually that's going to fizzle out. There's going to be new legislation. We started to understand consumers here are really getting burned because they're generating all this valuable data and then it's just being resold several times over.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a new solution where using new technology they can harvest their own data, be asked permission,
Mm-hmm. And extract value from it.
So that's the tools we started building, that we've built now, and that we continue to build. Is basically how can a consumer harvest their own data,
Mm-hmm.
be permissioned for access, and then how can it be exchanged for monetary value? And there's a combination of blockchain technology, secure multi-party computation technology that we use to facilitate that.
I see. So
You know,
so your company originally evolved from the VC company. So is your user base still like, is there a legacy user base from that previous before the pivot, so to speak, in startup speak? So
So there's a legacy user base, but the problem is they're mostly US.
okay.
And when we got involved in cryptocurrency, there's a lot of unknowns around regulation. So we focus on emerging markets currently.
I see.
There is a legacy user base that's sort of just kind of hanging around, and that could potentially be incorporated later.
When the legal issues are finally clarified.
Yes. Yeah. Right now, we just the most value that you can deliver is to people in emerging markets right now, from like a film or philanthropic point of view.
Right.
Basically, countries like Brazil, Turkey, India, the Philippines, they're really, I believe, like almost half the country is 25 years or older.
Wow.
And the monthly incomes in these places are maybe $600 on average.
Yeah.
By providing earning opportunities, and with blockchain and crypto, there's this whole new market that opens up because we're able to pass along liquid value in the form of a token outside of the regulated financial system to people who have access to mobile phones and fast internet, but they don't have any access to jobs.
Yeah, no, I think crypto overall has been a boon to people who were previously left out of the global financial system, and kind of Bitcoin came along. It's like, oh, as long as you have an internet connection, you could transact in this new global financial system, which is like this amazing, better than traditional banking experience.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And if you think about a lot of times when, I'm from the US, so maybe if I talk to a friend or family member who isn't familiar with crypto and they say, why do I need that? And the real true answer is you don't need it if you
Right,
live in
right.
the United States. We have Chase Sapphire Reserve cards that give us credit card points if we spend, and we get free flights. So we have these amazing benefits of a successful financial system. But
Right, right, right.
people don't realize that Turkish lira simultaneously is collapsing 20% in value in a week, single week. So these people are desperate for something that's better. They're victims of their own corrupt system. So they see things like Bitcoin as their way out.
Right. So on the question of banking the unbanked, like giving people banking financial services, access to financial services that they don't traditionally have to, I think as cryptocurrency is great for that. The one question that in my mind is that usually data companies or people who purchase data, they wanted to sell advertisements to the people's data who they have purchased. But you say you're going to target these emerging markets, and the concern there is obviously, well, will these emerging markets have the capability to afford products, and who would your customers be if that pool of the data is the ones that you're collecting?
Yeah, it's a great question. So as I kind of mentioned, in Turkey, half the population is 25 years or younger.
Mm-hmm.
Philippines is in a similar position. And, I'll reference Facebook's most recent earnings call where they actually disclosed the Philippines as one of their largest growth markets.
Amazon?
We're seeing Facebook.
Oh, Facebook.
Philippines
Sorry.
is one of their largest growth markets.
Mm-hmm.
So basically what we're seeing is, the massive multi-international corporations have a very streamlined system, monopoly over, the major markets like the US or the UK. And so they're looking for, and when you look at with the tools and the internet and access capabilities that young people have now, these are people who aren't going to always be poor without a job.
Right, right, right.
Young people in these emerging markets. Brazil is really, really booming in terms of young people that know how to code or do web design. And so you're seeing a whole new class of people forming. These actually are really dedicating a lot of resources and new efforts towards capturing these markets now because these young people will, develop careers.
I see.
Your customers.
So it's kind of like McDonald's selling Happy Meals to kids in the hope that when they go out to adult, they'll stay loyal to the brand, so to speak.
Yeah.
I see.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, cool.
Australia is a big growth market for us.
Australia? Why Australia?
Now that we have some new paid partner integrations coming, we can focus more on the UK.
Okay.
And then certainly the US market, when the time is right, is going to be absolutely huge. It just makes a lot more sense to build a very strong foundation. We're still decentralizing a lot of our tools. Products there, things are really decentralized, and it's sort of up to the world to use the product.
Speaking of that, on that topic, you guys are actually launching your own blockchain using the EOS software, or that's already running?
Yes.
So has that been launched already? Oh, sorry. So has your blockchain been launched already, or are you guys still preparing for the launch? What stage are you?
The blockchain is live. So the app, the instarwallet.com and Instar Wallet Android app are both running on top of the blockchain.
Cool.
Right now we have 4 block producers producing nodes. They're all run by us at the moment.
Okay.
And so, over the next few months, we want to have our token holders become the block producers.
Okay.
Sort of have the community be hyper involved in the future of the project.
And what kind of governance model are you deploying? Would it be similar to the EOS governance model where,
Yeah, exactly.
okay,
Yeah, the only thing that we may do slightly differently is just have some principles around, um, you know, more specifically what we do, which is protection. So
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
we may have to make sure that everyone involved is on the same page there.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So
And
go ahead, sorry.
yeah, I mean, I figure address, why we would do a sister chain instead of EOS mainnet
Right, right.
as well. I'm sure that's interesting to you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So basically, we've had about 250,000 people create accounts so far.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little bit more actually. Those are numbers. What we were discovered when we first wrote and published the first version of our white paper, the Insights Network white paper in September of 2017, we had proposed a full, the entire white paper basically proposed us using EOS IO tech,
Mm-hmm.
our SMPC tech, to create the data exchange solution.
Mm-hmm.
This was, I think the ICO for EOS was like June or July. It was only a few months after the ICO started,
Mm-hmm.
EOS ICO.
Right.
The sort of bet for us was, hey, I mean, this solution really would work well for us with,
Mm-hmm.
that we could value zero fees and transactions. As we were looking at Ethereum and the cost of an ETH transaction right now, if you were to send tokens, can be like 4 or 5 cents. And a lot of the little mini data exchanges we run are rewarded. The reward size is 4 to 5 cents. So it would kill the whole model.
It doesn't make sense.
So EOS sounded amazing, but we were just hoping, would they ship the product on time, like they say, and they did.
Mm-hmm.
And it's honestly been incredible. It's off to such a great start.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Constraint we had started onboarding users during this whole time,
and
porting over to the blockchain.
And you onboarded them by just having your network running and just creating accounts for them?
Yeah, so we onboarded them through an app that wasn't attached to the blockchain yet.
Okay.
So it was just like a demo. It was a demo beta app.
Mm-hmm.
So we started onboarding everyone, and then we realized, oh my gosh, the cost to onboard tens of thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
When the time to launch the blockchain. So then we realized, okay, well, we can do a sister chain,
right.
And scale this thing infinitely because there's no $2 billion market cap that's competing for RAM.
Right, exactly.
So that's why we run the sister chain. And then what we just announced we'll do is we'll actually deploy all of our tech on the mainnet as well.
Okay, that's interesting.
That's going to be coming soon. The team already is working on getting it done. So basically,
go ahead.
So basically, instarwallet.com, you can be able to log in with Scatter, similar to other dApps, and then we're working on a way, it's already been built, where you can store your profile values in your local browser storage or on your Android device.
Okay.
Forms that is not on our server, so that you can be eligible for surveys and then earn tokens. So we'll deploy the tech also on mainnet and allow tech is EOS. All our smart contracts work on EOS. We just run a sister chain. So for us to just deploy the same smart contract, but just have EOS mainnet tokens be the reward mechanism is a done deal. So we decided we'll do that, or incorporate mainnet users in the exchange also.
I see. Okay, interesting. So yeah, that's one of the reasons why I was kind of curious. We run EOS discussions. We try to look for all the projects that are running on EOS, and your project is kind of like, oh, this thing has been running EOS the whole time, but we haven't heard about it. That's kind of strange. So I guess you never, like, this is only the beginning of you tapping into the EOS user base, essentially.
Yeah, that would be correct in terms of people actually using the exchange.
Okay, interesting.
I think that, During our ICO, a lot of people did know about us because we had proposed. We were the first project to ever propose being about us because of that. But then we sort of went into like this development mode for the last
Mm-hmm.
year where we've just been cranking out the actual product and solution.
Right, right, right.
So now that we can say, okay, why don't we deploy it on the mainnet? Then we can start to really get the core EOS community involved.
I see, I see. Well, it's still kind of pretty impressive that you have 250,000 users before you even deploy on the mainnet. Because a lot of projects want to deploy on the mainnet just because there's like an existing user base they could tap into. Whereas you guys have like this outside network of users, and then now you're gonna tap into the EOS network of users. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it'll be good for the mainnet
Mm-hmm.
because maybe these people who earned our token will decide to use it to create a mainnet account and do that on their own.
Yeah, I
Be
mean,
good to bring more people.
do
I
you
don't quite, I don't know exactly what the results will end up looking like if people will move over and create new accounts, but we'll have to wait and see.
right, right. Well, have you like, well, two questions I want to ask. One, are you gonna be allowing people to build applications on top of your blockchain? And two, do you plan to have some kind of collaboration with other projects, maybe even on the EOS network, to like take advantage of some of your technology?
Yeah, there's two ways that I've been discussing with a few different parties about going about that. And one is if there's apps who have a similar growth constraint right now,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
they can just do what we do, which is deploy on our network, and then we provide free account creation for all the users.
Right.
So we can just allow free account creation for any app who deploys on our net also,
Mm-hmm.
if they want to just get users going.
Mm-hmm.
And um, basically, so that's one way that I think app developers can sort of benefit from our chain is we can let them jump over and scale as many users through our venue as we want or as they want, and then they can still have their tech run on mainnet as well
Mm-hmm.
and piggyback off what we're doing. And then the other way is we have a lot of privacy preserving, secure
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
multi-party computation software. So I'm in talks with a few groups now about how we could potentially allow the app developers to benefit from that. It's a bit complicated because it's the most proprietary thing about our project.
Okay. Okay.
It's a big competitive edge in the actual market research industry, which is outside of blockchain.
Right. Right.
For example, have a piece of software that any company technically, let's just pretend AC Nielsen for this example, for
Mm-hmm.
sensitive personal survey, maybe to like a cancer patient or HIV audience.
Mm-hmm.
And they
Mm-hmm.
could ask really personal questions, but the users who are actually taking the survey get their responses and then data and then outputs it in a visualized format for the requester
Mm-hmm.
without any chance or ability that responses could be traced back to a unique individual.
Right.
For privacy preserving way for these companies to interact. And so, that's kind of part of our business model is building out these tools.
But that technology would be proprietary. You won't be able to open source
Yeah,
that.
at this time, I would say no.
Mm.
Like I'm going to open source all the data exchange, smart contracts, and everything that's deployed on EOS.
Okay. Okay.
It's hard because if I can't necessarily deploy that because it'd be giving away something that I use, outside of blockchain.
Right. 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 Yeah.
But there's got to be a way, and we're already talking with some people about how can we, usage. So,
Mm-hmm.
and that would be like with EOS mainnet.
I see. Yeah. So like that's what I meant when I asked, will you allow different kind of applications to build on your blockchain? Because you're doing something very different from the EOS mainnet, which is like this open platform. You guys are open platform as well, but you have some secret sauce that you guys are deploying to keep the data private. And I'm guessing a lot of applications, maybe even social media, like if someone wants to build like a Snapchat, like a decentralized Snapchat, they're not gonna want to build it on the mainnet, right? Like they don't want their private pictures, stored on the blockchain forever. They're gonna want something that protects their privacy. So that's what I meant. Like when you open it, and when you open the blockchain for application to build on top of, and where you provide them like the technologies that you guys are using to secure those data to other developers.
Yeah, definitely. And so it's something that's it's going to be a work in progress. If you look at our white paper, did the whole white paper. So now what we're doing is drafting like a next steps document. So
So
check off everything on our white paper, especially once we're deployed on mainnet. And so basically, the next thing is, okay, well, what do we do now to take, like, what's the next version of the white paper? What's the next roadmap look like?
So what is?
So all those things would be involved.
So what are the next steps? What's the plan? What's happening in the next 6 months, let's say?
So right now, our main focus is volume, actually.
Okay.
So with the core product in production, it's just about really ramping up user acquisition and survey completes, which is our first use case.
Okay.
I want to be making sure that there's thousands, tens of thousands of surveys a day being completed from all over the world, and that tokens are moving all over the place to reward the people submitting the data. So we're launching a new requester dashboard next week, probably. The version of the current one. We're going to start letting anyone use it. There's another feature where you can survey your own audience. So get into that field, which is enterprise software, and use our tech to survey your own audience, not just Insights Network. A lot more volume to the blockchain, which should bring a lot more customers and potential data purchasers. So that's basically the most immediate next step, and that's going to be 1 year process of growing that, and it's pretty much just a hyper focused. Too much, it's just going to be about volume. So more data requesters, more data providers, and keep this, because if we can accomplish that, then the network's going to survive and continue to go on into the future.
And which market you say emerging markets, but which specific markets are you guys focusing your energy on now?
Yeah, we're doubling down on Brazil, India, the Philippines, and Turkey.
I see.
Those are our biggest ones.
Cool.
But as I mentioned, we're launching the UK. Australia is starting to pick up on its own. As volume increases, we'll definitely be bringing more core markets on.
Perfect. Okay, well, that's all the questions from me. I'll open it up to the audience if they do want to ask questions for the next 10-15 minutes. So, Brian Fix, any questions?
Is it going to be on this thread here? If people ask.
It's gonna be in the meetup, Novosphere meetup channel. So just about 2 up from the general. Yeah.
Yep, I see it.
So I think they're mostly listening.
When did you start the podcast?
30 minutes ago.
No, I mean, like, when did you start doing this?
We usually do AMAs followed by podcasts. So this is our, I would say, fourth or maybe fifth session.
Awesome.
Yeah. Usually people just kind of listen to it back because they're still working at this hour. So
yeah, it's midday on a Thursday.
Yeah. Looks like
you guys are trying to find your producers. Like, do you see that as being like a potential problem because they're not really public block producers? These are like chosen for you guys.
So you kind of cut out, but I think what you asked is who are our block producers going to be, and are they going to be public? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
we're going to let token holders vote. But there's a few groups that we're talking to right now who are interested in actually being a block producer. One of them is QuantStamp, who's a longtime partner of ours. They specialize in funding and security. So groups like that are interested, and we're going to let token holders vote. I'm also talking to some people from the market research industry who have a longer term interest in some of the tech that we're working on.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the types of people that will sort of come to the forefront and present themselves as potential block producers when we get closer.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, on that front, since you guys are dealing with data, there is a project called Europe Chain, also based on EOS.io software. And what they did is really interesting is that they only accept block producers that will comply with GDPR. Is that like an area of concern for you, or like would you need to be a bit careful with selecting block producers in certain regions just because it might violate the law in that country?
Yeah, I would say most likely it's probably best to just stay away from Europe for most projects.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of a complicated legislation that has almost no case law to back up anything so far.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
When you're reviewing something for legitimacy, you can reference previous case law. And there's just not much yet, so we're gonna have to wait and see how analyzed. But for now, if I was a different project who's not too familiar, I'd probably recommend they just stay away from Europe while they do more research.
Mm.
Moving forward, we know GDPR very well, obviously,
Mm-hmm.
and so anything we set up will kind of be in advance, pretty much, and easy for other people to participate with.
I see. Would you, because right now we have on EOS, we just recently adopted the end user agreement. Would you guys have something similar where there are certain guidelines as to how we govern ourselves, govern the Insights Network blockchain, Instar?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're gonna have to. It's just kind of like a legal requirement. So we're working on getting those things drafted.
Mm-hmm.
But it's certainly important, and there's new guidance coming out every day. Like FinCEN, for example, just released new guidance on what they consider a money transmitting business or what they don't consider.
Mm-hmm.
Fluid and moving at a fast pace, and kind of keep up to date and change as well. So we're working on a fresh set of guidelines now that would be sort of like a living document that could consistently be updated.
Fair enough, fair enough. Yeah, I mean, I guess you kind of have to. With the laws are still so new that it's impossible to kind of nail it down the first time.
Yeah, exactly. These things are living documents, and they're always going to be. Things are going to continually update, change,
Okay, okay,
new problems.
cool. Okay. Well, any other questions?
No, just thanks for having me. It's fun. We look forward to getting more involved with EOS mainnet. So
Cool. Anything to
we'll
tell?
be hearing a lot more from our project
Yeah,
soon.
for sure. Anything to let people know to watch out for? Keep an eye on websites, Telegram groups, what have you.
I think the coolest thing I'm excited about is the updated requester dashboard. It's pretty. I think there's like 7 new question types you can people. So if you have tokens, you can start running your own surveys or fun polls.
And how can we get our hands
Next
on those
week.
tokens for now? There's still ERC20,
Um,
yeah?
Yeah, so we're freezing the contract coming up here, and then we're going to migrate over to our chain.
Do you have any
And once
concrete,
that's done,
you have any kind of concrete dates for those events?
yeah, so we currently have a ERC20 freeze date of May 23rd.
Oh,
Um,
that's quite close. That's next week.
this is pretty imminent. So we are actually working on an audit, though. Everything we do, we usually audit with QuantStamp,
Mm-hmm.
our token contracts, and like we ran our token sale, they had the sale contract audited. So we're actually having an audit being completed still.
Okay.
And so it's getting kind of close, and like they haven't given the final results. So Assuming audit for us, I might target more of a June 1st. I'd rather keep trading and token transfer live for the users, before until I get to see the audit. But everything we do is pretty high quality with their internal team, so I don't anticipate any issues with the contracts. But it's always good to get the someone else to sign off on it as well, especially like a firm like QuantStamp who.
For sure. Oh, that's pretty quick.
Yeah. So basically, the next thing is going to say, hey, here's audit results. We're going to start the migration now. Currently, it has our token on their exchange. They don't want to move forward until they see the audit also, which is totally standard. Get that done and then get it moving. It's, full steam ahead once it's ready to go.
Nice. When can we expect to see Instar on EOS exchanges? Or would that affect exchanges?
As soon as possible.
Nice.
You gave me a contact with Nudex, so message them, and hopefully we'll just get up and running once we've migrated over.
Nice. Hopefully we could use your application to get some insights about our users too. That'll be interesting.
Yeah, you absolutely can. The new requester dashboard is really good for that. It's private data feedback, not public, so fully GDPR compliant. So
Awesome,
you could survey all your users, give them a little token reward, and
they could use their EOS account to do it. They just use Scatter, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So that's perfect. Yeah.
Log in with Scatter.
Awesome. Okay, thank you once again for coming on, Brian. We love forward to see you coming back on to talk about your project again. Keep us posted, updated, post it.
All right. Thanks, Jack. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you later.